Did you know that 65% of people forget what you say just 10 minutes after a conversation? Shocking, right? Yet, there's a way to make sure that your words stick, and it's simpler than you think. The secret? Start with why. Most people start conversations by talking about what they're doing or how they're doing it. But here's the problem: those details don't make an impact. What makes a conversation memorable is why you're doing it in the first place. That's the key to connecting with people and leaving a lasting impression. In this guide, we'll dive into why starting with WHY can make you a better speaker and communicator. You'll learn how this simple shift can help you spark interest, build trust, and inspire action. We'll uncover the power of asking the right questions, telling impactful stories, and even challenging the status quo, all by focusing on your why. Ready to learn how to make your words unforgettable? Let's get started. Chapter 1: The power of the first question. Starting a conversation can be tricky, but the way you begin sets the tone. When you ask why right from the start, you're not just diving into small talk. You're instantly creating interest and setting a purpose. This is how you move from a surface-level chat to something deeper. According to Simon Sinek, author of Start With Why, great leaders and communicators don't just tell people what they do, they explain why they do it. It's that simple shift that sparks curiosity. But here's something interesting: studies show that when you ask someone a why question, it triggers a different part of the brain than what or how questions. The why question lights up areas connected to motivation and purpose, making people more likely to stay engaged. So, your first question doesn't just open a conversation, it activates the mind. Imagine opening a meeting or presentation by asking, "Why is this important?" Right away, you've got everyone's attention. Starting with WHY also makes you come across as more intentional and thoughtful. People often remember how a conversation starts, and when you begin with a powerful, open-ended why, you're giving them something to think about. You're inviting them to join the conversation, not just to listen. You're creating a path for real engagement. You might be wondering, does this apply to casual chats too? Absolutely. Next time you're talking with a friend or family member, ask, "Why do you think that happened?" or "Why does that matter to you?" It shifts the conversation into more meaningful territory and helps you connect on a deeper level. Chapter 2: The Why Factor. Unlocking instant connection. When you lead with why, you're opening the door to real connection. It's like giving people a window into your thoughts and beliefs, which makes them feel like they're not just hearing facts, they're understanding your vision. The truth is, people don't remember facts, they remember why you made them feel something. The emotional connection is what sticks. A study from the Journal of Consumer Research found that consumers are 60% more likely to engage with a brand or person who clearly explains their purpose. When people understand your why, they can align their own feelings and values with it, which makes them feel understood and valued. This is one of the reasons why TED Talks are so impactful. Speakers don't just tell you about their topic, they make you feel something about it. Connecting with others is not just about talking, it's about listening and responding with purpose. When you speak from a place of why, you're showing that you understand not just what people think, but why they think it. It's a simple yet powerful way to build trust. In fact, trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful conversation, and starting with WHY helps to create it faster. You can try this technique when meeting new people. Instead of jumping into a business pitch or a general question, ask them, "What drives you to do what you do?" This will spark a much more personal conversation that goes beyond surface-level pleasantries. People feel more connected when they know the why behind actions, even if those actions are simple. Chapter 3: Emotional Currency. Make your WHY worth investing in. The key to becoming a great speaker isn't just about being heard. It's about being felt. To do this, you need to make your WHY emotionally resonant. Emotional connection is what drives action. When you start with a strong why, you're tapping into people's emotions, and emotions drive decisions. Think of it this way: if you want someone to care about what you're saying, you need to make them feel it. Neuroscientific research supports this idea. The brain is wired to react to emotional stimuli, which is why people tend to remember how something made them feel rather than the details of what was said. Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, emphasizes how emotional resonance is a powerful tool in communication. He argues that emotional intelligence is a stronger predictor of success than IQ. So, why not apply that to your conversations? Let's take Steve Jobs as an example. When he introduced the iPhone, he didn't just talk about its features. He talked about why it was revolutionary. Jobs wasn't selling a phone, he was selling the idea of changing the world. That's why people were not just buying products, they were buying into an emotional experience. This is the power of starting with why. So, how can you make your why emotionally impactful? Start by connecting it to something universal. Whether it's family, passion, or the drive to help others, find an emotional anchor that resonates. This doesn't mean you need to share personal stories at every turn, but your why should always connect to something that stirs the emotions of your listeners. Here's another interesting fact. According to research from the Harvard Business Review, people are 22 times more likely to remember a story than a statistic. This is where the magic of storytelling comes in. If your why is tied to a personal story or experience that resonates with others, it becomes far more impactful. When you tell a story that answers why you care about a topic, your listeners feel like they know you. They see your passion, and they want to be a part of it. By making your why emotionally compelling, you're not just speaking to the head, you're speaking to the heart. And when you speak to the heart, you connect with people on a level that leads to action. If you're finding these tips helpful, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more insights on becoming a truly impactful speaker. Chapter 4: The Art of Why-Driven Storytelling. Good speakers are also great storytellers. But the best storytellers are those who start with why. When you lead with a clear and compelling why, you're creating a story that not only informs but also inspires. Stories are more powerful when they answer why something matters, and that's how you make your message stick. Studies show that when we hear a story, our brains light up in multiple regions. But it's when a story taps into why something matters that we remember it. According to neuroscientist Paul Zak, stories that connect to emotion, particularly with a why, trigger the release of oxytocin, a hormone that builds trust and empathy. This is why people feel connected to certain stories, they feel part of the journey. So how can you apply this to your conversations? It's simple. Whenever you share a story, start by framing it with why it's important. For example, instead of saying, "I helped someone learn to read," say, "I helped someone discover the joy of reading," because everyone deserves the power of knowledge. This shift highlights the deeper motivation behind your actions and invites your audience to care. Another powerful storytelling tip is to use personal experiences that answer the why question. When Steve Jobs launched Apple's first iPod, he didn't just talk about the product. He told a story about revolutionizing the way people listen to music. By framing the product launch with a clear why, Jobs didn't just create interest in the device, he inspired millions to buy into the vision. The beauty of this strategy is that stories are memorable. In fact, research from Stanford University shows that stories are 22 times more memorable than facts alone. When you can weave your why into a story, you create a lasting impression that people will carry with them long after the conversation ends. When crafting your own stories, remember that the why should come first, not last. By establishing the importance up front, you make the rest of the narrative more engaging. This technique gives your story purpose, making every detail resonate with your audience. Chapter 5: Interrupt the status quo. Lead with why to spark innovation. The world is full of routine and repetition. To be a great speaker, you need to break through the noise and challenge the status quo. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by leading with why. When you start with a bold why, you're not just sharing information, you're pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Take Elon Musk as an example. His ventures, from SpaceX to Tesla, aren't just about technology, they're about reshaping humanity's future. Musk starts with why by asking, why are we still using fossil fuels? Or, why haven't we explored Mars yet? These questions aren't just about the products themselves, they challenge the way we think about the world. His why creates disruption, which is the foundation of innovation. Research by Harvard Business Review shows that disruptive companies, those that challenge the status quo, are often driven by a strong sense of why. These companies don't just innovate for the sake of it, they innovate to solve problems or bring about change. When you lead with why, you're giving your audience a reason to think differently. This approach can be just as effective in everyday conversations. If you want to spark fresh ideas or inspire others to think outside the box, lead with a why that challenges conventional thinking. Ask, why do we do it this way? Or, why not try something new? This immediately encourages others to think critically and creatively. There's also an element of leadership that comes with starting with why. When you present an idea with a clear purpose, people feel motivated to follow. Research shows that people are more likely to be influenced by leaders who articulate a strong sense of purpose, rather than those who focus on what needs to be done. A purpose-driven approach inspires trust and fosters collaboration. When you start with why, you create a platform for innovation. You're not just talking, you're sparking thought, challenging assumptions, and encouraging change. This is a great way to build momentum and inspire action, whether you're speaking to a team, a colleague, or a group of strangers. Chapter 6, Mastering the Why-Driven Close, Ending Conversations with Impact. How a conversation ends is just as important as how it begins. Ending with WHY leaves a lasting impression and ensures that your message resonates long after the conversation is over. This closing strategy doesn't just end the discussion, it reinforces the purpose and meaning behind everything you've shared. Take a look at how great speakers end their talks. Tony Robbins, for example, often closes his speeches by reminding his audience of their greater purpose. He reinforces the WHY behind their goals, urging them to take action. This final push ensures the message sticks, inspiring people to follow through on the ideas they've heard. According to a study by the University of California, people are more likely to remember the last piece of information shared in a conversation. This is called the recency effect. If you close with a powerful why, you're ensuring that your message stays with your audience long after they've walked away. So, don't just finish your conversation with a summary, end it with a call to action that connects to the core reason behind everything you've discussed. This strategy works not only in speeches or presentations but also in personal conversations. When you're talking to a friend or colleague, summarize the key points and remind them of the WHY. For instance, if you've been discussing a project, finish by saying, "Remember, the reason we're doing this is to make a real difference in people's lives." This reinforces the purpose behind the task and inspires them to continue the work with renewed energy. Another technique is to circle back to your opening why. If you began a conversation by asking, "Why is this important?" use the closing moments to answer the question. By doing this, you create a sense of closure and purpose, which leaves your audience with a clear understanding of the bigger picture. When you close with why, you're not just ending the conversation. You're giving it meaning, purpose, and direction. This approach leaves everyone with a sense of clarity and a reason to care about what was discussed. Whether it's a small meeting or a major presentation, the right ending ensures that your message lives on. Mastering the art of starting and ending with WHY gives your conversations purpose and depth. It helps you engage people, spark innovation, and leave a lasting impact. By focusing on the why behind your words, you're not just becoming a better speaker, you're becoming someone whose words inspire action and change. If you've enjoyed this guide and want more tips on becoming an exceptional communicator, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates.